read it?
You.
Okay.
We're on. Go ahead. Jesus Christ. God, dude. Now I have to do more.
What's up, everyone? How you doing?
God.
We're going to rock and roll. Clearly, team, we got our shit together. So my name is Thomas, and this is Aaron, and we're with David Gilbert. This is the standard podcast team where we raise the bar, rebuild the culture, and call out the lies no one else will. This isn't motivation. This is a movement. Again, I'm Thomas Rowe. I'm joined by Aaron, my co-host and partner, and we're here with David Gilbert. David has a long history with Aaron. They worked together back in the day, but I don't want to speak for David, and I certainly don't want to steal your thunder, my man. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, just the highs, the lows, and what you think everybody needs to know.
Hi, how's everyone doing? Good morning. Good morning. My name's David Gilbert. First of all, I'm a personal performance coach and also a high school football coach, defensive coordinator down here in South Florida at Western High School. Been playing football. Well, I'm not playing anymore. I've been in football for over 15 years. I played for about 16 years, including 8 years professionally. I've been in every league from the NFL to the Arena League, been overseas, and just had a very unique journey, with football. Coming up in South Florida, football is huge. Today I launched my partnership with Queen Sports, and she has a recording of Lauderdale Lakes versus Pompano on the 9U, and it's huge out there. Like, it's bigger than some high school games. So the culture just runs very deep down here. Everyone's out there having a good time, making, it's like kind of like our marketplace. Business deals are happening. People are moving and shaking. Like, it's an amazing atmosphere. I love it. And that's why I started getting into it, because at every level you have something special. So me personally, I played at Northeast High School in Oakland Park. I graduated early and I enrolled at University of Wisconsin, and then graduated early again. And then, went to do my 5th year at the University of Miami. So, I mean, it was a great time. I wish we had NIL, but we did the best that we could. We helped turn that program around at Wisconsin from a barely 500 program to 3-time Big Ten championships, Rose Bowl, 3-time Rose Bowl participants. And we went bowling every year. I've been bowling every year since my freshman year. We played Miami. My freshman year, we played against Miami in the Russell Sports Bowl. And then I transferred to Miami my 5th year. I did not know that was going to happen. But then went to the Tennessee Titans, signed a free agent deal from a rookie free agent deal from a mini camp contract. So I was one of 5 players. They brought in over 100 vets and rookies to compete for spots on the team in camp. Ended up making it all the way through camp in preseason, getting injured in the preseason, and bouncing around to the CFL and then overseas in the Arena Football League. And now I'm here coaching kids, just trying to help them get out and get an opportunity to, see how far football can take them. Because this thing will take you a lot of great places to meet a lot of great people. So I've had the pleasure of playing for Dick Vermeil in the NFLPA All-Star Game in 2014. I've had the pleasure of playing for coaches like Eric Hicks, Kansas City Chiefs D-line. Worked with guys, Barry Alvarez, Mario Cristobal, Nick Saban. I met a lot of great people over the years. So I just wanted to share that experience with everyone that, that's possible.
That is pretty incredible. Good God, man. What color is your tape? Because you're a superhero of what you That's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I actually have 2 NFL players in the NFL right now, Tatum Bethune and Rivaldo Fairweather. So Tatum plays for the 49ers and Valdo plays for the Cowboys. So I had those guys out of high school, and that's just the standard here. Like, most guys will never meet an NFL player. Like, if you walk down the street too far, you'll meet a guy that played in the NFL down here in South Florida, and if he's willing to help you, all the better, So that's what we're doing right now. We really didn't have this growing up. We had Tony Sands, and that was about it. And then after that, Patrick Peterson's dad got into training. But I trained with I was blessed enough to train with 3 great strength and conditioning coaches because to me, that's the foundation, the principle of who I am as a football player. I was not born like this. I wasn't born this way, but I made myself this way with the help of others and listening to my coaches. So Ben Herbert, I want to send a big shout out to Ben Herbert from the LA Chargers. That was my coach at Wisconsin. He helped take me from 200 to like 250. Coach Swayze from University of Miami, and Coach Steve Watterson. He's now retired, but he was the strength and conditioning coach back when the Titans were the Oilers. So
Wow.
he's been around since the Glanville era, helped develop the 300-yard shuttle. So just getting in those environments and knowing that I'm not going to be able to play linebacker forever, but I do love strength and conditioning. I have a passion for training and helping others get better, faster, and stronger. I said, let me use this because this is going to last me a lot longer than being able to run a 300-yard shuttle in 56 seconds is really hard.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, that's awesome. So we're diving into the truth behind what it really takes to build identity, discipline, and legacy in sports and in life. So let's get into it. So, David, one of the things that we like to talk to our guests and our athletes about, you played at every level, high school, college, and the pros. So if you had an opportunity to talk with your high school David, what would you say? And then I'm going to say the same thing about college. And you have a unique situation because you played at 2 amazing programs, Wisconsin and Miami. What would you say to your college self, even including the recruiting getting into college, and then going into the pros? What would you say to your rookie self?
I would say that there's nothing wrong with being selfish. Don't feel bad about being selfish. This is for you. You earned this. Nobody made any tackles for you. Nobody ran any sprints for you. Nobody lifted any weights for you. And you don't have to share this with anyone. Like that's one of the biggest things is like, we want to save people, like we have real life superheroes out here, police officers, firemen, people in the military, shout out to those people, but that's their commitment. Your commitment is to yourself and to your team, first and foremost, and your resources are your own. Like they were earned by you and they deserve to be spent by you. And other people that need help, like I'm not going to tell you to not help anybody, but I would just say like put yourself first. Like you deserve to put yourself first in every situation, like within reason, obviously, within reason. But think of yourself first. Like don't think of others first constantly. When you're an athlete, it's your time. That's your time for you to think about you first. And I did a pretty good job. I could have did a bit better job when it comes to like enjoying myself and enjoying the things that I earned and not be so freely willing to share those things with people who didn't earn them. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, a lot of times athletes are sold one situation or one scenario. And we've heard other athletes say it's a lie. There's the big lie. And I think that's a little harsh. But, that being said, given your experience, what would you say? Let's just go ahead and use that. What would you say is the biggest lie that you feel about the culture and the system about coaches, teams, athletes, and culture?
The biggest lie is that your coach is going to do what's in your best interest.
Oh, wow.
That's not true. Like it's true to a certain degree when it comes to the success of the unit or the success of the team. But thinking that your coach is going to help you achieve any one of your personal goals, I mean, it's obviously a blessing to have that if you do have that, but that's not his job. And most guys don't see that as their job, and if you meet a person that does see that as their job or takes that extra step upon themselves, it can kind of soften you to the reality of things is that everybody sees you as a tool. You're just a tool, and you have a limited amount of uses before they need to get a new tool.
Wow.
So you have to be cautious, and it's a business relationship. It's not a personal relationship. I think a lot of times it gets conflated because you do want to like your coach and you want your coach to like you. You do want your coach to love you. You want to love your coach. But that's not the nature of the relationship. It's a business relationship.
Sure.
So
When did that
yeah,
show up in your career? Did you figure that out in high school, college, or was it in the pro level?
I think it was probably like in college,
Okay.
because like they'll help you with the personal problems, but the personal problems that affect their paycheck, like being on time to class, like being on time to practice, being on early to meetings. Like if you do all those things, like your personal life might be in shambles, but that's not the most important thing. Like taking care of your mental health without sharing those details. You don't always have to share those details with people on the team. They want to know for a reason, and that reason is called contingency. So you just got to be careful. Like if you're getting extra treatment because your ankle's bothering you and you're not doing it at the stadium, that no one needs to know that. That's a professional. That's on the professional level. Like one thing I had to learn, you don't go to the stadium for your treatment. That didn't happen in practice. If anything's bothering you, you need to go get that stuff taken care of outside
Oh, wow.
of practice. You need to go see your chiropractor. You need to go see your massage therapist outside of the pro facilities and stadiums. Me, I don't have a lot of personally, I don't have a lot of regrets. Like I made great decisions in high school. I picked the right college. I had over 40 Division I offers as a 4-star defensive end. I was the number 12 defensive end in the entire country. So it was no shortage of SEC, ACC, Big Ten, Pac-12 schools, Big 12 schools that wanted me. But the most important thing for me was, where do I want to be? And
Right.
and who's going to help me achieve my goals. I achieved most of my goals early. Once I broke my foot, I didn't really have that elite speed anymore. I actually broke my foot twice in the same year. And then I came back. And I had just had like other problems. Like I tore some ligaments in my toe and stuff. So I didn't really have that elite speed. So it kind of dawned on me early that it's like, you don't really know how many snaps you have left. If you had a ticker on your head telling you how many snaps you had left, you would play a little bit harder. You
Right.
might do a little bit better. You might give a little bit more effort. But I never had that problem because I came from a place where I was so low on the totem pole. I was the lowest man on the totem pole. And I tell the kids all the time, I'm like, bro, football is not a sport where you just walk out there and you're just good at everything. It's a lie. That's the biggest lie. All right. If you want to know the biggest lie, that's the biggest lie. You don't just walk out there and you know how to zone block, you know how to pass block, you know how to punt, you know how to run, you know how to cut, you don't know how to do everything. And you have to be under someone's wing who's willing to show you the right way. Because there's a right way and a wrong way. And I tell people, if you want to see the best practice, just look at the highest level. If you want to see the best way to do punt, the best way to block, the best way, what are they doing in the NFL? Because those are the most elite athletes. If you want to, like when I teach my defensive ends to not run around blocks, right? Comes flat down the line because the guy has to run past the line. And I'm like, look at Micah Parsons. He can't run around blocks and get there. Like it's not possible. It's called angles. So that's the biggest lie, is that you can just walk out there and just be the greatest. You
Right.
got to put in the work. Like,
Right.
and it's the work, and it ain't the 2 hours in practice that I'm talking about. Yeah, it's important to work hard for that 2 hours, but let's be real. At the end of the day, you're going to do your homework and you're going to get tired. You're going to fall asleep. You're not really, you're not retaining any neuroplasticity in that instance. Like, you're not retaining that information. You're not combing through that information again. Your body has to relax. Your body has to rest. And then you might think about it, maybe you might have a dream about it at night. You might think about it a little bit when you wake up, help you figure it out, and have your reaction time be a little bit faster the next time. That's about the best your body can do on its own. But when you have someone that's a mentor that basically knows, like, hey, man, they're lining up 5 people on the left side every time, brother. Probably running the ball over there. Like there's 2 running backs, there's 2 tight ends. Probably not throwing the ball. And it was big for me. That's the biggest thing for me, is giving that knowledge, because I played basically high school. I started in ninth grade spring, 10th grade. I was on JV, varsity, 11th and 12th. I did not know more than my coach taught me because we didn't have these resources, YouTube, all these universities and teaching people this. Like I even post stuff teaching people how to do this, that, and the third. And it's like, hey, if your coach isn't teaching it to you, you're not going to know it.
Right.
And I told the kids yesterday, I was like, dude, when my D-line coach used to leave practice, dude, the dude went home. We did not hear from him. We didn't bother him. He didn't send us clips on YouTube to watch for us to get better. So, it's an amazing resource. This is a great time for athletes to go out, but you have to put in that work in those instances. Like I'll tell everybody, hey, listen, my mom's a guidance counselor. I told you guys this last time. Kids come in her office all the time to say, I want to play football. And they don't know her son used to be a football star. And she says, well, what are you doing at 6 o'clock in the morning? Are you working out? Are you running a mile? You run to the gym, lift weights, and then run back home, take a protein shake, get ready for school. Like, if you're not doing this stuff, you're not going to make it. And they're like, oh, miss. And then she's like, my son played in the NFL. You know what I mean? Like, you got to be real with yourself,
Right.
So that's just what it is,
That's impressive, and that's a lot of information, which leads me to my last two questions before I turn it over to Aaron. So my passion is working with high school kids. We talked about this off camera. I always think that that's where we got to get a hold of these athletes. And one of the biggest questions that I get, and then sometimes Aaron gets, and this is a perfect question for you. How do you know when you're going through the recruiting process? You said you had 40 offers. How do you know how to narrow it down to 5, how to narrow it down to 3? And aside from all of the visits, we know about the visits, but how do you make that final decision? And then the last question would be, how did you know when it was time to retire? So the first question is, how do you know which school to pick in the recruiting process? And then the last question, I'll turn it over to Aaron, is when did you know it was time to retire?
All right, you got to help me with these questions. I got hit in the head a lot. All right, so for me, I help. I consult. Football tech. We don't just train and showcase athletes. It's a full experience. Like when you buy football tech, you're buying me. And that's what I was trying to. We've talked about that, right? It's a personalized experience for everybody, and you got to realize it's a proven system because it's proven over time. I pick my colleges and I tell my kids to pick their colleges based on 3 things. Do they have what you're going to do after you're done with football? That's one of the most important things. You're not going to be able to play football forever. I don't care who you are. Unless you're Superman, you cannot play football forever. 2 was location, right? Do I like it there? Do I like the cold? I had never been in the cold before. I wanted to experience that. I was like, I want to live in a place where they get snow. They get all seasons. And you can tell by my end of my career, I ran my butt back to Miami because I was like, I can't handle that weather. But those 2 things, all right? Can you be there? Do you understand the culture, right? Like I grew up around a lot of white people. I live in Coral Springs, right? So going to Wisconsin to live in Madison, Wisconsin, which is 98% white, it wasn't a big deal for me, like it was definitely a different, it's been this huge difference living in the Midwest than from living in the South, right?
Sure.
So it's like I wanted to experience all that. I wasn't nervous about that. Some people get homesick. I was not a kid that got homesick. My parents were very religious when I was young. My mom's very strict with school. I wanted to get out and I wanted to go out. All right. I wanted to be outside. And that's okay because I still was taking care of my responsibilities. Right. And my parents were awesome. They did a great job coming to help me move in. Graduating early is a challenge in itself. And the last thing before I get off on the tangent, because I will, is can you see yourself being a blank, a Wisconsin Badger? I saw myself in that uniform, playing on that field, representing. Because a lot of people don't understand the huge responsibility it is. Like, dude, what you do on a daily basis determines whether we win or lose on Saturday, whether you like it or not. So you better do the right thing or we're going to lose and it's going to suck for everybody. So it's the bigger implications once you understand that it's preparation. Like you're building your own future. Like if you want to be successful, it's all on you. So those 3 things. Do they have your major? What do you want to study? Location, location, location. Do you see yourself being there? Do you like it there? Do you like the people there? Do you like the weather there? And do you see yourself being on that team? Like, if you don't like the coach, don't go to a place where you don't like the coach.
Sure.
You know, if the coach doesn't like you, you might we've all liked the person that doesn't like us before. You know what I mean? It's not the best feeling in the world, but you got to be real with yourself because we all have to be responsible. You know, it's not a pretty business, but when you do what you say you're gonna do, right? And that goes for everybody, right? Coaches are notorious for doing one thing and saying another because circumstances change, right? But not everyone is the greatest communicator on why they change their mind and how they're gonna, rectify just feelings, you know what I mean? So in this society, like everyone's like, oh, everyone's being soft. And it's like, no, like you told a kid they were going to play and then you didn't play. And you need to explain. It's like when you tell a parent they need to apologize to a child. You always get a little pushback, right? Like, why should I have to apologize? I brought him into this world. And it's true, but it's just part of being a good person. And I think that's always the most important thing, no matter what you're doing is are you being a good person?
Right on. That pretty much sums it up beautifully. So my last question is
when did I know when to retire?
Yeah.
Oh Lord, maybe knock some stuff over in here. No, I was 32. We were playing and we won. Okay, so when I knew it was time to retire was when I was just tired of it, bro. Like running in and out of hotels, new personalities. This person doesn't like me because I told them something to help them in practice. Like, like having a family too, is always big. And growing up, being there for your kids need you more than your team needs you. That's my team now is my kids, my 3 kids, and the wife. So we do our best to grow up, but it's not always the most fun thing to do, right? It's sometimes it's fun to be childish and run around the country, have your housing paid for, get paid to play football, be in this city, be in that city, go here, go there, getting free this, free that, like it's a great experience being a professional athlete, like going overseas. Like people don't know, I played on the first professional football team in Cancun. If you want, I still have the jersey. It's right there in the closet. I can show you guys. It's pretty awesome. But it was an amazing experience. Like, come on, bro, that sounds crazy. Like, you get to live in Cancun for free. You go to the Coco Bongo Club for free. You know what I'm saying? Like, you live where people vacation, but it's an experience. And one day it's going to come to an end. And when it came to an end for me, when I was like, this guy's 32 years old. I mean, I'm 32. This guy's 22. He's 10 years younger than me, and he's the same size as me. He's a little bit faster than me. He's a lot less injured than me. And I broke my arm in the season, and then I was still playing with it. We made it to the championship, played in the championship with a broken arm, almost completely destroyed my arm just because of that. Like I just was realized, like, hey, your time's up, old timer. Like I'm in there banging with 22-year-old guys. My arm's going numb, and I had a ruptured UCL, broken ulnar bone, nerve damage. And I was just like, it took me so long to recover, and I was just like, man, if this happens again, my family is not just about me now. My family's in a bad situation. Like I couldn't work. I couldn't really provide. I couldn't do the things that I needed to do. I had to reteach myself how to throw a football. Now I'm ambidextrous, like Michael Vick. At least finally, I always wanted to be like Michael Vick when I was a little kid because he could throw the ball with both hands, and I had to. And what it did was it made me mentally stronger. Like it just made me that much mentally stronger as a person because I was like, you got to figure it out. Or like, baby needs to eat, man. And these people want to pay you so you can be there. And I've ran my business, for a while now, and it's all about putting in the work. Anytime you try to cut corners, it always comes back in the end, and you got to pay double what you tried to, which you can't pass off work to people. You're running a business, so it gets tough without contracts and trust and all these things that need to be developed over time. So that's when I knew I had to retire. I was like, man. But you know what's funny? Like I had to work harder. I had to work harder to perform better. And I was doing things that I should have been doing before, but I was doing them out of necessity.
Yeah.
You know? So if I had told my younger self, like, hey, run 6 wind sprints after practice your pass rush moves at the end of practice. Like these are all things that made me better. Like I got more 2-sack games in my last season, 32 years old, than I had, in the college and in the pros before, even in the pros when I was younger, when I played a whole season with the spring league before they turned to the USFL, before that turned to the UFL. Just those good habits I try to build into kids, because it's like, dude, you're going to go home, you're going to lay down anyway and pass out. You might as well train your body. They don't understand. Tom Brady said it the best. If you do 2 meaningful reps, it can mean more than a bunch of autopilot reps. Like you don't, like, even when I do my training sessions, we got an hour. I ain't got time to be out here with you all day. We're doing 3 reps on the right, 3 reps on the left. If they look good, we can move on. We could build on that. But that's what happens a lot of times. And that's something that, you guys focus on as well. When you plateau, it's like, hey, you're not doing anything different. Why are you expecting more results? You got to work smarter, not harder. And you got to work smart and hard,
That's
Yep.
awesome. That's awesome.
So true.
All right, Aaron, I'm going to turn it over to you. We're tag teaming you. So
Thanks.
I threw you the soft ones. Now Aaron's going to come in hard. Aaron,
Yeah, I got the hard questions. I would love to know if you could give one message to the next generation of athletes, or I know you coach high school football too. What would that one message be?
Hey, this is great advice. This is advice that I've heard when I was a player, and it's just play every snap with 100%, because you never know when it's gonna be your last snap, man. You never know. No one ever got a warning like, "Hey, by the way, on this next power play, ACL is gonna be gone, pal. Better go to the left." We wouldn't be injured if we got those types of things, but.
Mm-hmm.
And focusing also on your mobility. That's only because I've done these things. I've been the guinea pig. I'm my own guinea pig. So it's pretty cool, and it's pretty frustrating sometimes when they don't believe you, right? Because it's like, hey, you don't have time to figure this out. Your career is going to be over by the time you figure this out. But I'm someone whose career has already been over. I figured this out. So do this so it can help you. And like, I made the mobility video. I have a link on my YouTube channel, mobility video that I made for Tatum when he was in high school. And he still uses it to this day in the NFL. And it just goes to show you, like, when you find something good and you're good at doing something, the results will show and people will stick with it. It's evidence based. You know what I mean?
Love it. Okay, I'm going to do some rapid fire questions. So you just like complete my sentence. Okay, David?
Right.
So discipline equals
Consistency.
nice.
leadership equals
Sacrifice.
faith equals
Belief. You got to believe in yourself. Gotta believe in yourself, and you gotta believe in the work that you did. Like, if you didn't, like I've used the example the other day we were talking. If I told coach I looked at all these plays, because the defensive coordinator, we depend on each other as a coaching staff. No, I mean, what is one coach that could probably watch everything, but we have lives, right? And if I tell coach I watch this and this is all they're doing, and we go out there and on the last play they do something else, even though that doesn't really happen in football, right? Like, realistically, you don't run, but it can happen in overtime. People save plays, especially later in the season. You can't use the same approach okay, we're going to look at, because we got limited resources in the beginning of the season, right? We can look at the preseason game, we can look at some film from the last season, but we get limited. The more the season goes along is the more potential there is for trick plays, new plays, recycling old plays that they had from before. So you got to be thorough, right? Got to be thorough. I think that was maybe the word I was looking for. And you got to be thorough. If you're not thorough, things slip through the cracks. And you can't be as confident. I did this. I looked at every single play. This is what they doing. I never seen them do this, coach. They could do it, but I ain't never seen it. So let's just go with what we've seen. And then that's the power of watching film. I wish these kids understood the power of watching film. You would see much more. The game would develop at a much faster pace. If the more we teach these kids how to read hit charts, write hit charts, going down the line and teaching them more advanced things, but they got to be into it. They got to want it.
Sure.
That's so true. What's one thing you would never compromise on?
Work ethic. If you lazy, I don't got time for it, bro. Like, if you lazy, I don't care what your talent is, right? I got a 300-pound nose guard right now. He's the laziest person I've ever met. His nickname is
Don't be
Manatee.
lazy, kids.
His nickname is Manatee. And he's not dumb. Like, he's a smart kid, but he doesn't believe in hard work.
Oof.
Right. And I don't blame him. Guess what? Society tells us that you need to be a Nepo baby. If you ain't a Nepo baby, it's too late for you, right? Like, there's a lot of that going around, but I still believe in good old hard fashion work. Like, I believe in the principles that we had learned from the greatest generation. Like, that's who I love. Like, I love those people. Like, that's who I hang out with. Like, if you fought in any war, or if you were in any type of law enforcement for around any time, corrections or coaching for a long time, and you're over the age of 40 years old, it's probably my friend, because like, those are the people that I was raised by, and the things that they taught me worked. Like, sometimes you work hard and you don't. Sometimes you work hard and you fail.
Yep.
Just competing, always being in the spirit of competition, healthy, friendly competition, because the competition is within yourself. That's what the main thing you always have to remember. If you have a competition within yourself, if you're always competing with what you did before, that's how you get ahead. That's the best way for you to get the most out of your time, because you have a limited amount of time, right? That's
Right.
the best way for you to get the most out of your time. Like, I can say that, hey, look, at one point, I was projected to be a 4th-round draft pick in the NFL. It doesn't mean much, but it's better than your local football coach. So I can tell you the steps that I took, all the things that I was doing when I got to that point. Of course, I couldn't control breaking my foot twice and tearing a ligament in my toe, but I still was able to go. And people don't know that. People don't care. They want to see you perform. They want to see the results. So if you go out there and you still get all Big Ten, and people don't even know you wearing a boot throughout the week. I used to wear a boot all week and then put a shoe on game day and go out there, And of course, I was always a quarter of a step slower than I more normally was, or what I wanted to be. But I gave 100% of what I had, and that always means more. Like, even in a relationship, if all you got is $100 and we're dating, and you say, Dave, I need $100, and I give it to you, that means more than the guy with 2,005, with a $250,000 that gives you 1,000 and treats you like crap. And I think that's one of the main things that's lost in our society, is we love money a little bit too much, and sometimes we compromise our integrity, for a short-term gain. Like, for me, a big thing was always steroid this, steroid that. I've had a lot of steroid accusations. I've never actually taken steroids. I would have loved to get the benefits from that, but I didn't have it in me to do anything like that, because the people that I knew that had taken steroids that were in their 50s had heart problems. And I wasn't willing to sacrifice years off my life later on down the line because I might not be adequate enough with what God gave me And I wasn't willing to, I'm not willing to, if I die, like, what are you doing here? Why are you here so early? And it's like, well, I took those steroids from running. And it's like, hey, man, like, that's not what you were supposed to do. You got to respect your temple and you never make permanent decisions based on temporary feelings, right? Temporary results. Like, you got to if you can find another way, and most kids don't know this, most kids don't think of it this way. But do you know who 75% of these NFL players are neighbors with?
No.
No.
Dentists, lawyers, doctors, people who own companies, people who own simple labor companies, general contractors, people who work for the county, police chiefs and mayors. And it's like, you don't aspire to be a football player so that you can be next to these people. You can be the principles that you learn from being a football player are the same principles that take you to where you can be those things in life. They give you your work ethic. So I encourage kids. I'm like, hey man, go on. Have you looked into radiology? Have you looked into maybe being a dental assistant? Like, you don't have to be a doctor to own a dental clinic, but you might have been a dental assistant. You might have cleaned a couple teeth, didn't like it, saved your money because you know the inner workings of the system, and now you do your own thing or you make your own unique product, which is the best thing you could possibly do because the future belongs to the people that innovate and the people that create. Like, if you just want to jump in line and be up under somebody, they're just going to use you up, and then they're going to probably just find another person to try to use up. So for me, it was always, we took a career counseling class in college, and the guy, his name was Chris Shereznik. I don't know if he's still doing it. I don't know if he's still around. He was a great guy. And he said but one thing he said stuck with me. He said, most people want to get hired into their dream job, but that's not how it works. There's people who get their dream job out of nowhere, and it's a blessing, and it's great for them. But most of the time, you have to create your dream job, and sometimes you're gonna have to do some stuff for free for a little while until you start building your name, and you can charge. And then you can charge what you want. Like, I used to charge $25 a session when I started out. Obviously, money was a little different back in good old 2016. But now I'm charging, $100 an hour, and I do my group sessions. I basically can set my price. I can charge what I want based on what the person needs. If I'm working with 50 athletes, I'm gonna charge, a couple hundred for the hour, whatever and then you start learning about contracts. And you get into contracting, and then but it's a process, and the best thing you could do is have a strong mentor that believes in you, believes in your product, and just someone to help you maneuver through the business and protect you.
I love it. Well, thank you so much, David, for sharing your inspiring story with us and all your insights, I think, for our audience. We are so grateful. What I would challenge everybody on to do two things: share this episode with everyone who needs to hear it, whether it's a coach, an athlete, a parent. Also, you can connect with David. We'll link it in the show notes at footballtech.com, which is, he has
footballtech.football. We have our own domain. It's okay.
Wow.
I know.
Okay.
Most people don't have it like that, but
I love it. Good thing you corrected me, everybody. But I will make sure that gets corrected. And then if you are an athlete, parent, or coach ready to raise your standard, check out Blueprint to Blue Chip at blueprintbluechip.com. We help athletes build identity, discipline, and legacy beyond the game. This is the Standard Podcast, and this movement only grows when we raise the bar together. Talent fades, but truth endures. Raise the bar, rebuild the culture, become the standard. We'll see you next time.
Right on.